Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Magical Margarita with awakenmagic.com and another storytelling of Be the Expression, where I'm having conversations with lightworkers and people from the Awaken Magic community to share our experience, strength, and hope by sharing our stories and really using this as a practice ground to find their voice and be spiritual warriors just by telling their stories and practicing. So today's guest is one of my favorite people, is Barbara Szymt. And Barbara is actually quite local. She's from Canada, Toronto, about an hour away from me. And we have been journeying and circling together this year with many others. And so we've got to know each other quite well. And even met in person. So how is that? How great is that? That you can work with someone online and then meet them in person. So I call Barbara an earth angel. She's definitely a light worker. And I really think her story just of coming on here is going to be useful for people. But even though actually we are winding down this series until next summer, I know I'm going to be using this interview as an example, for other people. So what I want to first do before I bring her on the line is just go back a little bit to, what was the inspiration for these Be the Expressions? So we know that right now the earth and people are in the birthing pains, and how valuable it has been to listen to people's stories, especially of how they lean into love in these chaotic times. And so many times we listen to other people, right? We listen to other summits and we think, well, these people have something to teach us, but we all have something for each other, especially in this magical tribe, right? And getting to know each other a bit better is wonderful. So we have been, Barbara and I and a few other people, we have been doing full moon circles online. And we've been working from a book called The Original Clan Mothers. And in June, when this started, the clan mother was storyteller. So the medicine from storyteller is she teaches us to have faith, to be humble, to stay young at heart by keeping our innocence intact. And one of her lessons is, through another's example, we share the laughter and tears. Through another's experience, we learn how love can conquer fear. So, I got feedback here. Barbara has agreed to come on, but we're keeping this link private. So when we go on to when you go onto YouTube, it will be an unlisted link. So it's only going to be within our community, and so that's just keeping her safe. You'll have to say what your granddaughter or your daughter calls you, but yeah, it's as I said, a safe place to practice. So without further ado, I want to have us all send our warm thoughts to Barbara. Hello.
Hi, nice to be here. I'm a little anxious because, as I've told you, I always feel that I don't have anything to say, but we'll see what comes up in this little interview.
Yeah, and let's just think about it as a conversation.
Yes.
More than an interview, right? That sharing of stories. So let's actually first start with what does your daughter call you?
Crunchy granola mama.
Crunchy granola mama.
So she
And
thinks I'm woo-woo and out there.
and
Yeah.
I love what I love about the timing for you is on the backs of Doreen Virtue denouncing magic. So I know you believe in magic and fairies and all mythical magical creatures because we know they're just in a higher dimension. And sometimes we are in that higher dimension as well, so it's easier to tap into them. But I want to, I guess, ask you how, like, what was your first steps of the path? What sort of was your awakening?
Wow. It's kind of a long story, and I started on my spiritual path, I would say maybe well over 20 years ago. And it was I was in an ashram for 18 years, and
Wow.
yeah, learned a lot through that, but realized that um, I'm not one to follow conventional, even though a guru is not conventional for most people, a guru was not really for me. And so I felt very unhappy where I was, but I stayed because this is what my husband's passion was right there. And, I wanted to be with him. And at some point, I just decided that I need to do my own path, my own way. And that included magic. And so here I am.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So was it like in a community?
Yes,
Were you
yes.
living there?
Living, yes. Yeah, it was, gosh, I could have been in India or, and yet I was in California.
Mm.
At any rate, it was a difficult time, but definitely a learning experience. And that's where I found out what it was that I was actually wanting my spiritual life to look like. And it wasn't living in that particular community.
Right.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's very, very interesting. I didn't know that about you.
Well, you see, I'm a very private person, and so that's one reason why doing an interview or a discussion like this is difficult for me because, yeah, there are things that I've been through that are very deep, and I like to kind of keep them there.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that must have been really brave, though, for you to say no. Like I love that term, guru, Guru.
Yes.
So to get to that part and not have to disappoint people, like how long did it take you to finally, take a stand for yourself?
Well, yeah, it was almost 20 years that I was involved in this, and even then, the breakup separation with my partner was a very difficult thing for me to do because I had never been on my own, and yet I knew if I stayed that I would die
Mm.
emotionally. Uh, I would just die. So I had to stand up for myself, and it's the best thing that I ever did. So I always am very grateful, and I say that my partner was actually my best teacher.
Ah, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when that's the beautiful part too of sharing that hope that when people sometimes are like, this isn't for me, but that having to break away and going through that, but then at the end, realizing that, yeah, it was the best thing. That's
Now I'm happy. I I'm on a path that I feel fulfills me, and I pick and choose what I want to believe, and how I'm going to integrate that into my life. And I feel I'm a much stronger person and a happier person. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Not an easy path this way on my own either, because sometimes I'm the only one in my circle of friends who is this involved in my spiritual journey.
Mm.
So I really don't have many people to share my experiences with, and that's why I appreciate so much having found you and the whole magical community and all the goddesses that I've been in touch with. It's been very nurturing.
Mm. Beautiful. Yeah, because it is hard when you can't talk to anybody,
Mm-hmm.
and especially
Like
when
I
there's
said,
exciting things that,
I'm cute, I'm crunchy granola, but
yeah,
uh,
if they knew how deep you went.
if they only knew the level of my involvement, they'd say, "Whoa." Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I mean, I have
beautiful.
a good relationship with all of my kids, even though there's this aspect of me that they really don't know too much about.
Yeah.
It's not something you can keep completely to yourself, because when I'm in their company, of course, my beliefs, I can't help but express myself how I think and feel about things. So
Mm.
in that sense, I'm sharing. And my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, definitely knows my connection to angels, and I, give her advice whenever she is in, difficult situations. Well, I say, well, you can go and ask Archangel Raphael or Archangel Michael, and she just kind of takes it in. I don't know what she does with the information, but I just put it out there, so I
Nice.
feel good about that.
Yeah. And isn't that really true for any advice, right? Is you're just letting go of the outcome.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's beautiful. So the question that I ask everyone that, as I was mentioning at the beginning, it seems so important right now in the shifting world is, how do you lean into love?
Well, some people can narrow it to one thing, and I kind of have three things, because music can totally undo me and break me open at the heart.
Mm,
Dance is liberating, I mean, when we have our yoga classes and I can just, I mean, I feel like one of those dervishes twirling around my living room, and that just expands me. And then being out in nature, when I see the trees breathing, it's like, whoa. So that's it. It's not just one thing. There are a number of things that open me up.
mm, beautiful. Yeah, that's very true. And we're definitely aligned in that, especially with nature too. It's really speaking to us more and more. Do you find?
I do. I really, really do. I mean, I'm seeing nature just showing me signs. I mean, I'll be sitting on a bench in the park, and I'll see an egret in the little river. And I mean, that's such a significant bird. Butterflies around me all the time, and I love butterflies. And grasshoppers, signifying moving forward. So there are signs in nature all around about things are moving. Just like nature, nature doesn't stay the same. It's moving. Well,
Mm,
and recently it's been moving a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so great. Is there anything that, I think part of, one, my call to have light workers, take a stand and rise up, was that this could be a really good time. It could be a really exciting time, and if we don't shine that light with the people that are lost and suffering. You know, we continue to suffer, but we
Mhm.
know that we don't really have to be in that suffering. So, is there anything that you are more drawn to help elevate, if you will? Like, you know, some people it's for animals, some people it is for nature, Mother Earth. Some people are called more to be angels for people. Is there anything that is really important for you right now that you know that you could express as you see what's going on in the world? And
Um, it's interesting, but and a number of people have said that they like being in my company because there's such a freshness and a glow to me. And I think it's just I'm shining my light without actually being aware that I'm doing it. And I find that people come to me because we can engage in conversations that are meaningful. It's not just, hey, how are you? We can have really in-depth conversations, and I know we always end up having a great time, and we haven't done anything special. We just sat on a park bench and talked, or
mm,
coffee in a coffee shop. But I don't know, people just say they always feel uplifted. So I don't know, maybe that's my gift.
yeah, yeah, I love that. It reminds me of Carolyn Miss, who actually said that, and like the description was on a park bench too, right? She was saying, you know, some people need to just be, and where
Mhm.
they are being, they are like the lighthouse. They're shining that light. So that's the most important thing for them in this lifetime is just to, like you're saying, right? You're lit from the inside, and it just shines out. And as we're staying more in our hearts, yeah, that field keeps getting bigger and bigger, and that's important work that people see that it's possible to be glowing. It's possible to be calm when there's
Yeah,
so much going on. Hey, that
yeah.
rhymes.
I don't think I have any really grand mission to, save the world. It's just one day at a time, just shine my light to whoever is in my company, even if it's a small thing like a smile, right? That
Mhm.
smile is infectious and it gets passed on. And there we are. We're all a little bit more elevated
Yeah,
because of that smile.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm smiling right now.
And so am I. Yeah. I
Yeah, yeah, that's
don't know what else to say. It just I'm a very simple person. Um, and it's not like I'm striving to have more, but I am striving to be more.
mm,
So
yeah. And everything is evolving, and so we can't help but be more because that's the sign of the times, right?
yeah.
Yeah. But it's easy. I think maybe I want to ask you this question because it seems easier to be distracted, right? So where do you keep your attention these days?
Oh, well, I tell you, I don't watch television. Um, where where do I keep my attention? Keeping company with people like yourself, listening to webinars. Um, I have another group, Matt Andrews and Mantara, that I am deeply connected with, um, and Matt channels light language, and that's very impactful on me. So I just try to keep connected spiritually via the internet. And I mean, there's an awful lot of support and so much wisdom and knowledge there. I mean, I think that's the only reason I actually ever got a computer so that I could listen to webinars.
Yeah, that's great. I know, and you know what I love too, that because I just am so appreciative. But I think making people more aware, because we get so easily taking things for granted all the time. And I saw somebody say, everything's so amazing and no one's happy. But if we think about how much generosity really is in the internet, how many things are free? Like, we might not see it so much in the outside world, but when we're in online, there's so much generosity. It's right before our eyes, and a lot of people don't even see it.
I know. It's the very first time I came across a person who was on a spiritual journey like myself was Ann Taylor. And this was when I was still teaching. So I would stay in school after work so that I could get on the computer and listen to her activations. And, and that started it all. And I came across her quite by accident. Same thing with EFT, emotional tapping. I never knew it existed until I came across it on the computer. And that just like opened up the whole world for me.
Yeah.
It was all for free.
Yeah.
So you're right. There are things out there that are accessible. We just have to become aware of them. And it also helps, to know of somebody who knows something and they connect you to somebody else, and then your circle just expands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And benefits from it. Because what is the rising tide raises all the boats, whatever. I'm not quoting it quite correctly, but when the tide comes up, so do all the boats.
Beautiful. Yeah. And we are that tide. We, as light workers, we said, yes, we're here to help with the upliftment and ascension.
Yeah.
And sometimes, just filling our own cup and then shining it out is all we need to do.
And sometimes, it's like when you feel that much joy and happiness about where you are, it just automatically overflows. You can't even contain it.
Yeah.
So.
I know. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, especially when you found, your like-minded group. And we have the swans as our mascot.
Yeah.
And they've just been
the other day.
Pardon?
I just saw 4 swans the other day when I was out.
Did you?
Arena with my mother. Yeah, 4 of them.
Wow.
So I thought, wow.
Yeah. And 4 is the sacred foundation. So, yeah.
That's very significant.
It is. Yeah. Well, I am so proud of you for saying yes and coming on and sharing your story. It was very interesting. As I said, I didn't know that about you. So I love that I got to know you a bit deeper, and you're sharing with our community, letting them get to know you as well a bit deeper.
Well, it was my pleasure. And if my voice sounds a little shaky, that's just because I was nervous. But
yeah,
if I do it more often, I'm sure it will get easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Because as soon as you go through it, then the fear goes away, right? It's just that buildup of it. Yeah. And I'll just have to tell you, because the feedback I've been getting, from people who it was their first time interviewed, that's what they say. Oh, I sound awful. I hate listening to myself. So.
And I'll probably say exactly the same thing. I say, oh my God, that doesn't sound like me. Maybe I'll have to start speaking light language.
Yeah.
thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for helping me to step out of myself and just be a little bit bigger, play it bigger than I want to keep myself.
Yeah, beautiful. You're so welcome. And yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure and an honor. So with that I will say goodbye, but just hang on a minute. And I'll say goodbye to all of you. So there is one more interview coming up. We're in the fall season now. And as I said, I'm going to put this on hold until next summer. And you can find us on YouTube. And if you want to know more about being in our community, you can come to awakenmagic.com. Okay, Barbara and everyone, big love.
Namaste.
Namaste. Ecstasy. Bye now.
Bye-bye.